Hello again. This is the South African Morning on DSTV Channel 43. That's ENCA, and on ETV. Now, this story, South Africa has seen over 90,000 vehicles recalled this year alone. The latest callback involved Jeep Wranglers and multiple Kia models. The Automobile Association says this exposes deep failures in pre-market testing and regulatory oversight. Critics are also warning the recall system is reactive and fragmented, leaving motorists exposed to dangerous defects. There are now calls for independent mandatory safety testing. Well, for more on what's been happening, we're joined by Auto Trader CEO George Mini. George, good morning. Welcome to the South African Morning. Thank you for your time. Just the number alone, more than 90,000 vehicles recalled, we understand, this year alone. How concerned should we be?
Good morning, Damon. Thank you again for ENC having me. It exposes a telling thing about consumer confidence because, the more these recalls happen, the more consumer confidence will be knocked because one just never knows when these recalls are going to happen as a result of no pre-market testing. So I would say the result in consumer confidence will slip in the automotive industry.
Pre-market testing, what's going wrong there?
Well, the reality is that we don't have an independent system to do pre-market testing, and so the AA has already called for a system to be set up in South Africa. That hasn't been done yet, and that's really the long and the short of it. Is there's no independent system for pre-market testing in the country. One hasn't been set up.
Yeah, if you look at the vehicle manufacturers, it's multiple brands and over a number of years. So these are not new kind of defects. Why are they being detected after we've entered the market? And is it the vehicle manufacturers themselves that find out that something is wrong with an airbag system in one vehicle or another model? There's problems with the brakes, for example?
So, because it's multiple brands and it's across the industry itself, it shows you that it's not one OEM, it's not a particular vehicle, it's not an isolated thing down to one brand. It's really market wide, and the brands that you mentioned that have been recalled tell me that exact fact, and that is because it's a systems failure. We haven't set up the right systems in the country in order to do crash tests, in order to do pre-market testing, and in order to discover these flaws before they happen.
Yeah, I mean, Masiho and I were talking about this earlier, and we're thinking it's really around vehicle safety, the safety of the driver. And when you talk about brakes and airbags, for example, you might be driving a vehicle right now as you get ready for your festive season, but you actually don't know if there might be something wrong. Our safety standards as a country safety oversight standard compared with elsewhere in the world, how do we fare? What do you know, George? How do we fare?
So we are definitely, currently lagging global leaders because of this systems failure and that we're fundamentally reactive and not proactive, because some of these recalls can be discovered sooner. And when you run a reactive model in any country, you only discover the defects some years later. You have to rely on the vehicles effectively in market testing. So the consumers have to drive the vehicles in order for these problems to be discovered. If we had pre-market testing, some of those issues would be discovered early before the cars get in the hands of the consumer.
What would an independent pre-market testing look like that can help us as consumers know that our cars that we are now buying and getting off the shop floor from a dealership are actually safe?
So, although the Motor Industry Ombudsman provides technical support, the AA themselves contend that drawing in on this technical team and within the automotive industry, being the Motor Industry Ombudsman is just not enough, and it compromises the impartiality of the system. So, what it would look like is an independent party doing pre-market testing, crash tests, crash safety regulation regulations being put in place, and closing the significant gap between us and our international counterparts. So really, it's an independent pre-market testing system and some regulations to go with that. That's what it would look like.
Thank you very much, George, for your time and explanation this morning. He is, of course, the CEO of Autotrader. Pre-market independent testing. That means when a model has been made, they say, we're going to sell it in South Africa, before you put it out there on the shop floors and the dealership floors, it's tested properly, independently, to make sure that there are no faults. We're not doing that at the moment.
People's lives are in those cars.
Yeah, people's families, and it's festive season now. Imagine if you have a Jeep Wrangler currently, because that's in the news now, and a Kia, depending which model. Even if yours has not been mentioned, you also have...
You worry.
You worry. You worry, yeah.